Hi, I'm Roger. Welcome back to my own little kitchen. Today's episode is, you guessed it, strawberries. I'm going to do something today that's a very impressive dessert and can be very easy to make. Now, I took some shortcuts. I used a French vanilla cake mix. The reason why I used French vanilla is because it uses the whole egg. You don't have to separate the white from the yolk. I have a whipped topping already made. I have instant vanilla pudding. Now, there's different ways you can make this. The actual way, I know my foodies are cringing because I did it this way, but the actual way of doing this is to make your own custard, make your own whipped cream, and to make your own cake from scratch. I've done it, it's delicious, it's time consuming, and it's iffy. If you don't do the custard just right, you've ruined it. So just for convenience purposes, I do it this way, and my friends like it just as well. So, I've taken my cake, I've cut it into little squares. What I'm going to do is put a layer of the cake on the bottom. I try to leave the cut surfaces out, facing on the outside. It gives it a little better presentation. Rather than seeing the cut side from the top. Now I've cut these in different shapes. Some of them are square, some of them are a little bit longer rectangles, some of them are very long rectangles. You want to make it look kind of like you threw it together, which is ideal for me. Now I've been asked to make this to a very casual dinner I'm going to tomorrow after work. And because it's going to be all adults, we're going to make it an adult trifle. Many kinds of trifle have alcohol in them. For this one, I could use rum, which might overpower it a little bit. So instead, I'm using a whipped cream vodka. You can find it in most stores. There's many brands. This is the kind I happen to have on hand. You just want to drizzle a little bit over the cake before you put anything else in, so that the cake absorbs it. And again, not very much. I think all in all here, I think maybe I've used a tablespoon. Now because you want the cake to absorb stuff, it's already absorbing the alcohol. I'm going to take the macerated strawberries, juice and all, put it over the cake. Make sure some of the pieces come down on the side for presentation purposes. If you didn't want to make the cake, you can buy an angel food cake already made. You can do the same thing. Cut it up in squares like this and use it that way. You can use a frozen pound cake, thaw it out and do it. A cake mix, or again, you can make your own. I want to make sure I have some strawberry sauce drizzling into that cake, drizzling down the side. When you're doing something for a dinner party, you always want to give them a hint of what it is. So there will be no doubt to my friends' minds what kind of trifle this is. They'll see the strawberries, and I'll also be putting whole strawberries on top. Now we'll do a layer of the vanilla pudding. Just kind of dollop it over the top. And again, instant pudding is much easier, much quicker than trying to do a custard over a double boiler. This you just add to milk, whisk it, and in 5 minutes time, it's ready to go. The process of making custard is much longer than that. And many people don't even know what a double boiler is anymore. I'm not going to clean that up till I'm done, because trust me, I'm going to get other stuff on the sides of the bowl. Now here we have whipped topping. There's several different brands out there. There's the kind in a box that you whip up with fresh milk. There's the kind that already comes like this. All you have to do is thaw it out and stir it. You can make your own whipped cream. They have whipped cream in the can that you can just squeeze on. And again, when you're doing a trifle, you don't have to have everything covered, every layer covered by everything else. Just make sure you have some down along the sides for the presentation. And so this is what it's looking like now. You can still see some strawberries, you can see some of the pudding, and you can see the whipped topping. Now, we just repeat the same layers. They actually have trifle bowls, which are made for trifle. Or, this one is a plastic bowl, which travels well. You can put it in a punch bowl if you don't have any of the other things. Just something that's see-through and a convenient size to tote along, because trust me, once you start making this, you will be asked to make it often. In this area, I'm kind of known as the Trifle King. And the reason for that is the variety it offers. Instead of strawberries, I could be using blueberries. Instead of white cake, I could be using spice cake with walnuts and pumpkin. You could do chocolate. I've made Black Forest trifle before with cherries and chocolate cake and chocolate fudge and Godiva chocolate liqueur to sprinkle in between. Endless ways that you can make this. One of the traditional ways of making this is with white cake, with sherry, whipped cream, and the green and red maraschino cherries on top to decorate it. That's pretty impressive in itself. As long as you have people who have seen green maraschino cherries. I did it once and somebody said, "Roger, I've never seen green maraschino cherries." I said, "Well, you have now." So now we have the second layer. We will drizzle more of the whipped vanilla liqueur over it. This is vodka. When we do things, when we make trifle for the holidays or for cold weather, we usually use things that have a deeper flavor, a smokier flavor, that are a little more intense. But because this is summertime, we want to keep it light. More strawberries along with the juice. I like to start with the outside edges and then work my way towards the middle. If you don't want to do a big trifle bowl, this is also good for little parfait bowls. little cups that you can use for individual desserts. It's very impressive. And depending on the size of the bowl you're using, you might only get 2 layers, you might get 3 layers. If you have a bowl that requires 4 layers, call me over. I want some. And there you see the strawberries. See them glistening? Next is the layer of pudding. One of my hobbies is community theater. I do a lot of shows, and I'm not sure if they cast me for my acting ability or because of the stuff I make for the cast parties afterwards. Now this is going to be the top layer, so I do want almost everything covered. I want just a hint of what's underneath it poking out. So I do want it to touch the sides of the bowl every now and then. And as you see, as I push it down with the spoon, it brings it to the edge. And one thing you want to do, if you use alcohol in any food or dessert, even though you think it cooks out all the way, there's always a little bit left in there. You should always tell your guests if alcohol has been included in the recipe, whether it's sprinkled on and not mostly baked out, or if it's in food where there's still residual alcohol. That gives them the option on if they want to partake or not. As I've said in other episodes, know your guests, know if they have any food allergies or things that they don't like or can't eat. Since this is the top layer, I want to move it around a little bit, get a little more presentation, swirl it around, get those peaks like you find with meringue. And in case there was any doubt, so that's the strawberry trifle. So, because it's been strawberry season, we've had episodes on strawberry shortcake scones. We've had cream cheese pound cake that you can grill and put strawberries, whipped topping, and fudge sauce over. We've made country strawberry cake, where you take a layer of cake, cut it in half, and fill it basically the same way. All of the cakes have a different texture. It's just a matter of what you're feeling up to that day and how you think the guests are going to like it. I did the trifle today because this trifle goes a long way. This will easily feed 10, 12 people. The scones, if everybody has just one scone, that would be about 12 people. But we know you're not going to have just one scone. The other are varied depending on how thick you cut the slices. With the country cake, an average size would feed 8 people unless you cut the slices smaller. And the pound cake can feed as many as you want depending on how thin you cut the slices. So you can adjust it to how many guests you have. So, unfortunately, this is the end of strawberry season. My name is Roger. Thank you for joining me in my own little kitchen.